Welcome back, folks. It's a brand new episode of 5 Minute Majors. Boy, do we have some news. Where to begin? I guess the Victoria Royals, new general manager. We'll dive deeper into that over the course of the off season, so that way we have some content. Next up, the Prince George Cougars. Some big news today on Wednesday. That is their captain. He has signed a contract with the AHL's Hershey Bears, the top affiliate for the NHL's Washington Capitals. Obviously, Prince George is still alive in the WHL playoffs this year. They are taking on the Kelowna Rockets in the second round of this season's WHL playoffs. As for the other side of the WHL, in the U.S. division, the Everett Silvertips and Portland Winterhawks will play a 2-3-2 style. Unfortunately, venue issues are not allowing a regular schedule, so they're playing a 2-3-2. Eastern Conference, Red Deer and Saskatoon, and Swift Current Moose Jaw. Swift Current Moose Jaw is the one to keep your eye on, actually, rather than the Swift Current, or rather than the Red Deer Saskatoon series. Why, you ask? Two key players, Connor Geekie and Matthew Savoy. Both players were drafted by the then Winnipeg Ice. They played their whole career with them. Before they were in Kootenay, and then Winnipeg before relocating this year to Wenatchee, Washington, inside of the U.S. division. And so the question is, how will that playoff series go? How will those two handle it? Teammates their whole career until this year. Wenatchee had to make a few moves in order to kind of provide for their future since Winnipeg emptied the cupboards to contend. And I mean, when I say they emptied the cupboards, they had maybe 4 draft picks in the next few seasons. It was pretty bleak. So Bliss did a wonderful job of keeping them a competitive team while also building for the future. I'm really excited to see what that team does in the future going forward. But a little bit of big news for the WHL, similar to Connor Bedard a few years ago. We have a new exceptional player, folks. Landon Dupont, Calgary, Alberta native. The kid is tearing it up in his current league and has been granted exceptional status, which is what Connor Bedard was. The Everett Silvertips are the likely team to pick him as they have the number 1 selection in the upcoming draft. Other players that have been named exceptional in the CHL. We'll start off with the lesser-known names, Joe Veleno, Sean Day, and Michael Misa. But some of the other names, Shane Wright, current Seattle Kraken prospect who is in Coachella Valley with the Firebirds, Aaron Ekblad, John Tavares, and some guy on the Oilers, Connor McDavid. That ring a bell, folks? So the likes of these names, with how these players' careers have panned out, it's only a matter of time before we see what Landon Dupont does. And with the way the U.S. division is, assuming Everett doesn't surprise people and pick someone else, this just got really interesting next season. Landon Dupont likely an Everett Silvertip. We'll see how it all shakes out. But with how the Winterhawks are this season, how maybe they might be next season, the Wenatchee Wild building for the future, Kelowna, Tri-Cities, Spokane, maybe even Seattle, they're at the bottom of the rebuild, but the U.S. division should be really fun to watch over the next few years. Prince George could still be in the mix, maybe even Kelowna. The Eastern Conference could be very interesting as well, but this will throw a lot of things into it. Obviously, he'll have a trip to his hometown team, the Calgary Hitmen. They're in the Eastern Conference, but Dupont will get to play against them, so that'll be a special moment for him. As for the WHL, it's winding down, and my prediction is still that Portland could make the Memorial Cup. I think these next 2 series will be the toughest for them against Everett and then likely Prince George if they beat Everett. Saskatoon could be a tough test, but I think that Portland would have an easier time there than they will in their Western Conference rounds over the next two series. Until next week, I'm Derek Harper. This has been a new